So this is a really special night in Barcelona because Barcelona has just won its ticket to the final of the championships. So the atmosphere here is pretty crazy. And I'm standing here actually with Jonas Birgersson. Jonas, can you introduce yourself?
Yes, my name is Jonas Birgersson. I'm the founder of Once in a Time FramFab and then the Swedish broadband company, and now I'm the founder of Labs 2, which I'm the CEO of. I'm also an advisor to Via Europa.
Right, can you explain what Via Europa is?
Yeah, so Via Europa was founded in 1999 by three really smart guys, much smarter than myself, called Frederick, and Frederick. And it was probably the first commercial open service exchange operator or communication operator, and they were running out of Stockholm. Then we Labs 2 Group bought them for a couple of years ago, and we introduced the brick system, and then we sold it off. So today it's a separate private company, and it's a company trying to establish the open service exchange model across the world.
So where is Via Europa operating today?
Today they're operating in Sweden and Norway in a couple of cities, so like 10 cities. But they're expanding, they're trying to expand outside of Europe, so they're looking for the emerging markets, which is mostly Central America, South America, Africa, Middle East, and parts of Asia.
Right. So can you give a little bit of background on this open market model and how that works?
Mm-hmm. So basically the idea of the open service exchange is to create different layers where people are really good at what they do. So the first layer is what we call the PIP, the passive infrastructure provider, building and constructing the fiber optical networks, only the passive part. Then the second layer is what we call the active component, so the open service exchange network. And on that level, you pay for the active equipment, you configure it, and you make sure that you deliver all of the different services. The third layer is basically the open service exchange operator layer, or the communication operator layer, and this is where you have to deploy the ecosystem, making all of the virtual service providers that want to sell services being able to give the service in a neutral way, so they're paying the open service exchange operator the same kind of fees, equal for everybody, and then the customers can decide whatever package I want on top of this.
Right. So these service providers are purchasing IP connectivity, is that correct?
Yes. And so if they got a 10 megabit connection, or they get a 100 megabit connection, or they get a gigabit connection, they pay different charges for this, but all of the charges are neutral, so that every VSP pays the same charge for the OSE operator, and then they put their own markup on top of this, and this creates the end user price, and this could be a home or this could be an enterprise.
Right. So for an end consumer, what does this look like?
Yeah. Typically they go to a portal. They can choose between 5 to 10 different VSPs. For an example, ISP selling 10 megabit connectivity, and they can say, okay, I want to buy 10 megabit. I now have 5 to 10 different service providers to choose from. I click and choose in the portal, and whenever I find someone that suits my tasting, I just click, and 3 to 5 seconds later, I have this operator in my portal. I click in the portal, and I have it in my home, in the RJ45 in my home, and I now have a service delivery. If I'm not happy with this, if I'm as a customer, I'm not happy with this service provider, I just go into the portal again and I change to another VSP.
Right. So how do you solve the problem of the CPE in the customer's home?
Mm-hmm. So basically, if you look at the Via Europa scenario, Via Europa does not believe that you need to deploy any CPE based on the basic services. So if you want to buy internet, or if you want to buy IPTV or VoIP, you don't have to have any CPE. You're only we're deploying it through an RJ45 in the home. It's a passive connector, but if you want to have an Ethernet-based CPE as part of your business model, that's not a problem. That will be deployed. So if you buy, for example, ISP plus IPTV, then the VSPs can decide that this would be a part of the business model, and they would provide that.
Right. So you, from an infrastructure point of view, in the Via Europa scenario, you're only deploying fiber into the basement of the building. Is that correct?
Fiber to the basement, and then Cat6 into every apartment, and in every apartment we have a passive delivery point with an RU45, and then we can have an additional, on a business perspective, not on an infrastructure perspective, we can add an Ethernet-based CPE if required by the combination of services.
Okay. So where does Labs 2 and the brick system feed into all of this?
Yes. So Labs 2 is a group of companies that have been operating since basically 10 years. We have 600,000 man hours into our brick system, which is basically a next generation OSE, BSS system, so that on the Open Service Exchange, the brick system can automatically handle basically all of the different services. Everything from CRM to having the marketplace for the consumers, having the Bricks administration portal for the VSPs, where they can find out what kind of business model can I operate, what kind of campaigns can I create. So it's basically an end-to-end system automatically handling all of the requirements. So it's a single software that you need to automatically run an Open Service Exchange model.
So all of this together is what you call the Telecom 3.0 model.
Yes.
How does that oppose to the Telecom 1 or 2.0 models?
Yes, so the Telecom 1.0 is basically the old infrastructure, the old copper cables, the Cat3 things that basically cannot, with VDSL, ADSL2 Plus coming to its end, you cannot support the symmetric two-way communication that is needed in the next generation. So you have two options. One is to build a new monopoly, saying like we did with the Swedish broadband company from 98 to 2003, saying that we're building a company that we're going to deploy a next generation of networks and we're going to deploy all of the services ourselves. Or we can do it in the Telecom 3.0, which I think is a much smarter model. You can build a network, fiber to the home, fiber to the building. On top of that, you then allow all of the people wanting to sell services to come in and sell your services on top of a common marketplace. So Via Europa, as an OSE operator, communication operator, will not sell any service itself. It will only resell all of the services from the VSPs to the end users. So it's a big difference in model. Via Europa will construct the network, operate the network, but will not sell any services. It will only be a marketplace for the people to provide services on top of this network in a neutral fashion.
So it's a broadband utility company.
Definitely.
Okay. I imagine that such a disruptive model compared to the reference model has got to be challenging to deploy. What would you say are the main challenges you had to face?
Well, basically, I would say that what we have proven the model beyond any doubt in Scandinavia. In Scandinavia, there's more than 150 different city networks running in the Open Service Exchange model. It's running in Sweden, Norway, Denmark, some even in Finland. What we're having as the next step is to prove it outside of Scandinavia. It could be in Europe, it could be in emerging markets, South America, Central America, Africa, Middle East. And we're going to improve it so that it's a generic global model. This is the next step for us.
Okay. Jonas, thank you very much. And now let's go and party with the Barcelonians.
Yes, I think we've been partying pretty good so far, but we're going to improve that as well.
Okay, bye.